Welcome everyone to another month of Retro Encounter. This is episode 4-1 where we'll be talking about the last story. I'm Josh Curry. With me is a great crew of Mike Sollosi.
Hey, how you doing?
Marcos Gaspar.
Hey, what's up?
And Davi Tesnovich.
Take a ride in the Garet kayak.
What?
The Garet kayak.
I think I haven't played as far as I'm supposed to have played because I see that in the show notes, but I am extremely puzzled as to what the hell you're talking about, man.
So-
Yeah, I was just playing around with Garet. I thought Garak was a funny word. I said I thought it'd be cool if they ride yaks. It'd be Garakayak. And then I realized that has the word kayak in it. And then right after that, you steal a Garak ship. So you're piloting the Garak kayak.
I think you should have said something like Garakalaka, something like that.
Yeah, you made some leaps of logic there that I really didn't follow. Just reading your
I'm not-
stream of consciousness show notes.
I'm not even convinced, Davey, that you followed it.
I can tell you what every single one of these are about, I swear to God.
No, I can too, except for there's just like at some point that just kind of dips off and it's like, hey, great boss. Yeah, okay, I can get behind that again.
I was so upset when I realized that we did not get the beer when I was taking notes on the next chapter, and I was like, why didn't we get the beer?
So,
Okay, maybe we should have some more context for that as well.
yeah, let's rewind.
All right.
Welcome to Retro Encounter. We're talking about the last story. Let's first talk about how many of us have actually played this game before. Because personally, for me, this is my first experience with it.
What do you think?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I really like it. I like that it's original. I can honestly say that in one of the show notes, I think Davey said Gears of War the RPG. And there's definitely that tone of with over the shoulder. There's more action oriented, but it's not action oriented hack and slash, where you could easily say like, oh, like Kingdom Hearts, like you're jabbing on some buttons.
No, this is like East 1 where you just run into an enemy to attack it.
Yeah, which really threw me off for the longest time. And then when they eventually added the skill of slash, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I actually have to interact with the game. That's fun.
You guys aren't using you guys have auto attack?
Yeah, I do.
I guess I do. I didn't even know that was a setting. This is also my first time playing the game.
So if you want, you can go into your options and turn off auto attack, and I think it makes your attacks not do as much damage because you can attack more frequently, but then you only attack when you hit the button.
So I vaguely remember you said that on like our pre-show like notes and whatnot at some point, and I honestly debated switching it, but the reason I did not is I wanted to try to stick to what the developers wanted the game to be like.
Sure.
At least for a little bit to see if it really bothered me. And it definitely makes at least I feel like it makes the experience less interactive. I feel like I'm more watching something than being an active participant. So I'm not sure how long I'll stick with it. But at the same time, it's made grinding extremely easy. Because I just stand in place, kills things, and I get experience and weird random loot.
It doesn't really bother me that much either, since most of the time I'm darting back and forth from cover and using slash, and just luring people away with the L button. What's that called?
Yeah.
The L button thing, whatever that's called. And my early impressions of the battle system are very positive. I really like how positioning is so important, and how your frontline guys are setting up your mages. And there's shenanigans with magic circles that I don't totally understand yet, but it's I'm digging it so far. I sort of wish the game had a little more combat, but I'm still pretty early on. I think I'm in chapter 8 or 9.
Okay.
It feels good to like use the cover mechanics and like do the sneak attacks and stuff, but I also think it's worth noting that this game doesn't feel good like Gears of War does.
No.
Like it
feels like it has problems like Uncharted does.
Whoa.
It's got
no.
the mechanics there,
No.
but it's heavy-handed and not as snappy and easy to use as Gears of War.
And you gotta calm down with the Uncharted talk, because that is literally my favorite game of all time. technically Uncharted 2, but that series is.
I like the Uncharted series a lot, but I think that it has issues with your partner AI, and it snapping back and forth from cover can be not as snappy as I wish it was, and maybe it's just because that A is a major action button and the cover button, and maybe I just suck because I've only been playing this game 5 hours or whatever, or however long, but I haven't really mastered cover yet, and I still have a ways to go before I feel really comfortable in this combat system. But so far, I'm really intrigued by it. I think it does a lot of cool things. So my initial impressions are very positive.
Yeah, it's super fun. I just thought that one flaw was worth noting.
So So this is Josh, and this is the first time playing the game for Josh and myself. But Marcos and Davi, you both played this before. Do we want to talk about sort of the whole background with Mistwalker and everything, and how it's one of like maybe 5 RPGs on the Wii?
Yeah. No, so Mistwalker, this is their 3rd game, I think.
Oh, Mistwalker's done a boatload of games.
Well, I mean, this is a game from several years ago, and before this they'd only done Blue Dragon and one other 360 thing.
Lost Odyssey, which is terrible.
Right, okay. I didn't
What?
play either. I haven't played either of them.
Okay, so Lost Odyssey is amazing, and we're just gonna put a lid on that.
All right.
They also did Ash, Blue Dragon Plus, Away, Shuffle Dragon, Blue Dragon Awakened Shadow, all before the Lost Story.
I do think at least Awakened Shadow was actually Trice developed. That game super sucked, which is a bummer. So I love Trice, but either way, this is like their 3rd
big title.
Yeah, like their marquee title for sure.
And it was like the big name company that Hironobu Sakaguchi founded after leaving Square around. I think it was around the time of the Square Enix merger. I forget the whole story behind that, but yeah, this is a game with Sakaguchi, the creator of Final Fantasy's name on it, and so far it seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we'll ignore Final Fantasy for right now.
Sure.
Since he's left Final Fantasy, I don't think he's done a spectacular job. And I know that's a very unpopular opinion because I'm gonna piss people off by again mentioning how much I hate Lost Odyssey. I think Blue Dragon was a fine, average RPG. I personally think Lost Odyssey is a horrendously terrible game. I talked about this.
That blows my mind.
Yeah, sorry. I talked about this very shortly at the end of the Final Fantasy Tactics podcast. Both of those kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. So as excited as I was with everything Operation Rainfall, I actually viewed Last Story as most likely going to be the worst game out of those 3 because of their previous record of like how poorly I think they kind of did with the Blue Dragon Lost Odyssey.
I will say Blue Dragon had some problems, man. That game like had a bunch of solid mechanics and like all the numbers were wrong. Like the curve didn't exist.
Huh.
See, I think Blue Dragon does 100 times better being even remotely enjoyable than Lost Odyssey.
Okay,
Oh my god.
We don't need to have that discussion on a podcast about a game on a totally different system than either of those.
Okay, so let's say those were polarizing games.
Sure.
And Last Story, I don't think a lot of people played it, to be honest, like when it came out, because it was even late for the Operation Rainfall game.
It got entirely overshadowed by Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah.
I bought Xenoblade Chronicles because I was really intrigued by that game and knew about all the Operation Rainfall scuttlebutt, and then bought the Last Story on the strength of how much I liked Xenoblade Chronicles, even though by then I hadn't gotten very far. So I bought this thing at launch for $40, but it's been sitting on my shelf untouched for 2 years. And so I was pleasantly surprised when it ended up being the August game for the podcast. So it was like, oh, I'll finally get to play this thing. So,
cool.
Can we talk about like the first 15 minutes of the game really quick? Because
yes.
I was really impressed that they just drop you into a mission and teach you so many mechanics at once pretty smoothly.
Yes,
I dug all of it. It was a strong first 20 minutes.
absolutely,
With, like,
but
no
for
exposition.
Yeah, very little exposition. Just like just a little bit of scraps from dialogue, and that's it.
Yeah. No, it gets going really quick. You can say that it's very easy, but it does a very good job of at least having something going on right away, instead of that normal, like, hey, I'm in a village, I'm wandering around, got a pail of water, oh no, my house burned down. Like, this is actually entertaining.
Yeah, and it's entertaining, but the chapters are sort of paced amusingly to me, because there was one chapter that's just you leave the tavern and that's the end of the chapter.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one chapter where you fight a ghost tiger and then that's the end of the chapter.
Yep.
It's sort of, I know that the game has 35 or 40 chapters, but that's a meaningless number since a chapter can range between 45 minutes and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's I'm really glad that they basically drop you right in the middle of some action, then some crazy stuff happens to get the plot hooks in, and then you have a nice big castle town to explore. And
Yeah.
it was a satisfying first couple minutes that had me intrigued from the very beginning.
The castle town's kind of disappointing.
I think, just to go back to the beginning real quick, I think one of the strengths of the beginning is just one of the strengths of the game in general is its focus on scripted encounters, like, only. So, like, every single thing you do, you never feel like, oh, I'm going through the motions, I'm doing this random encounter or whatever. You're, like, doing something unique and specific to that moment.
Everything's
Right.
important.
Yeah,
Yep.
like every single fight is crafted and has an approach that the game designers are probably trying to guide us to doing.
Yeah.
It is cool.
Yeah, and with that, so I'm sorry, Mike, this up very quickly. One of the reasons I don't like Lost Odyssey
Oh boy.
is because of everything levels up with you. And this very easily could be that, because they have those scripted encounters that it's moving you along, at least in the beginning, at pace with what you're doing yourself. But they also very smartly have the little summoning circles. So
Right.
if you do want to fight harder enemies, if you do want to level up, if you want to grind, if you want to get some more items, I thought that was a really smart addition to kind of hedge your bets both ways. And I really appreciate that as somebody who likes to grind.
I
guess-
haven't really
I guess
indulged
that-
in them much. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say that probably explains a lot about why I like that game so much while you didn't, because I prefer to grind as little as possible and have a challenging experience when I play an RPG.
In all honesty, the thing that bothered me the least was the non-grinding in Lost Odyssey.
Well, crap.
All right. Well, okay. Then let's steer away from Lost Odyssey, boys.
Oh, let's keep talking
And
about
start
that.
talking about the last story again. All right.
It's all cyclical. We're talking about
It's a
Miss
circle of
Walker
life.
and RPGs as a whole. It's got to be part of it.
And there's Lost Odyssey right there at the nadir for one of you and at the zenith for another. But let's one question about those magic summoning circles, guys. Does this game actually get hard ever? Because it has
Yes,
been
it will. Yes,
Okay.
it will. Trust me,
All
it
right.
will.
Oh, okay. I'm super early, but it has been a cakewalk so far.
No, it's kind of like that. Like, you're right that in regards to the levels, let me point out, 'cause I haven't answered this. I played this before, and I'm playing on a New Game Plus, so my character is around level 80. The
All right,
scripted battles,
that's more than 11.
Yep. The scripted battles do have them at like level 9, so I hear Dagrin say like, "We gotta go around and strategize." I just run in and just kill them all and just move on. And he's like, "Good job, Zael. We did a great job."
I can't imagine what you're doing with level 8, because the first summoning circle, I put my people up to like 18.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, that's how I work.
It's very satisfying. And I'm surprised. Like, have you guys used the wall climb yet, or has that not been introduced just yet?
That's not in yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
I literally just walk through the middle of everything and swing at things.
Okay, you're gonna love this skill that comes up later, where you get to run up walls and jump and attack.
Now,
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't know. I mean, this is just the difference between me and you, Josh, I guess. But I think that would, kill some of the fun if I just brute forced every single
Yeah.
encounter when they have this cover system and a lot of interesting things going on. So I'm gonna try to keep the grind to a minimum. But if I get challenged, I'm not gonna sweat it. I have no compunctions against leveling up 10 times to get through a story point.
So
But I haven't had to yet. It's been super easy.
I do have to admit, and I'm excited by this idea of the wall run. A lot of times when I feel like just games in general, they add these like side ideas, side concepts for strategy and whatnot. I feel like they're half-baked, and they aren't actually worthwhile. As soon as they added the concept of slash, though, that was huge. That was awesome, and I started doing that immediately. And even the idea of like the channeling with basically becoming a tank.
Yep.
Those are so well thought out that even though I could just be walking through encounters and just being a jerk and swinging everything, I'm still using those because they're so much fun.
All right,
And-
I have
wait,
a
wait.
question. Have they introduced slashing magic circles yet?
Yes.
Yes.
In the like 1.5 dungeons ago they did, and that also seems cool because you can blow up your own magic circles for positive effects and blow up enemy magic circles to get rid of them, right?
Yeah. And it's crazy because like I remember like there was just like say like you need to like attack someone with like an ice elemental and someone Lowell just puts it right on one spot. I believe if you like destroy that, you're able to do something called like slip off or slip something, and you're able to attack people with the ice attack without having that circle there.
Yeah, but
I
you
didn't
can,
catch
you can
that.
you can walk through it and you'll get ice on your sword like it's Ice Saber and Secret of Mana or something.
And can it
But-
also stack where you can have like a healing circle right on top of like the ice one and attack while being healed?
You
Yes.
can.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds dope.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's really great. Like I'm telling you, Mike, when you get into later missions, you're gonna love it even more.
So
And, similarly, you can blow up multiple magic circles if they're close
Yes, you
enough
can.
to each other.
yeah, which is interesting too. So on just a small now complaint thing, I guess. I wish I love how everything just kind of flows and it's moving along with the fighting and whatnot. I do slightly wish, because there is a complex system with like the magic circles and whatnot, that there was almost like a Dragon Age Origins where you could pause the gameplay and then plan
Oh,
everybody's actions out. So then you'd switch over into more of that strategy action.
Yeah, they let you do that right at the beginning of a lot of fights.
Right, but they
And
don't do it
that's helpful.
during. Do
Yeah,
they?
That, I don't think you can.
I
I mean,
believe-
you can pause using the same ability that lets you blow
Right.
up magic circles by holding down A.
Yep.
But I don't think you can really use that to plan in advance. You can use that to sort of scope out the area, but not do anything
Right.
other than
I don't
blast
think
the
the
magic circle.
slash command could do that. I know if you press up on the D-pad or whatever brings up the decisions to use skills, that's when it'll freeze. But
Okay.
the slash one, if a guy runs at you while you're trying to slash, that's a real time happening. But I think it might have been slowed down. I don't know if that's lag or if that was intentional, but they're definitely moving. And if they wanted to surround you or attack you
Oh.
while you're doing that, they'll get you.
Yeah,
I've,
but
I've
if
only
you-
had I've
if-
only had to do that a couple times, but it's been quick enough that I don't really remember being
You're
attacked
fortunate, Mike.
during
You're
it.
fortunate. You won't be, but for now, you're fortunate.
If you push and hold it, when it activates, it'll freeze time, and you can look around, but you can't just do that on like on call.
Okay, that's
Right,
what
yeah,
that's what I
yeah,
thought.
yeah.
Yeah, but I overall I've really enjoyed it.
So let's talk about the death thing, because that's pretty weird. So what is it? Everybody can die 5 times.
In a battle,
Yeah.
which I
Everyone has
dislike.
five lives, like a little more than half a cat, and it seemed a little meaningless to me so far because I think every time I've died it's been because I overlooked something.
Yeah.
But I'm super early in the game and nothing has been difficult yet.
Has anybody
So-
wiped?
I
Not
have
yet.
not.
I cannot be wiped.
Yeah, well, you
Yeah.
don't count. Because that's the
time
thing.
will come.
Staying away from that statement, Marcos.
Oh my gosh.
Keeping it clean.
Throw up
Except
the
for Marcos, who can't be wiped.
Yeah, apparently. Glad it's on Skype. You're not sitting next to me right now.
I'd be getting punched.
I guess I find a lot of times there's such a tension with life bars that like when you get low or you see anything flashing, there's this tension that typically builds up.
Yeah.
And because you're essentially give freebies, I have not found it. And granted, we're at the very beginning. It's very easy. I do not find it stressful. I more find it a nuisance and annoying that my guy happened to fall down, or I have to walk over here and resurrect this person.
For me, it's the kind of thing where like when your stock starts running low, it's like okay, it's time to turn it on. Like it's time to stop making mistakes and do this right. Like kind of get into gear.
It's really funny. When I first saw the stock system, I kind of reminded me of Kingdom Hearts bosses. I was like, hey, I'm kind of like them now.
Yeah.
I have stock.
Except for the Kingdom Hearts boss doesn't just lay over for 10 seconds and then stand back up. that in honesty, I'd have less of an issue with the health system if you didn't just like kind of roll over occasionally.
That's another Gears of War thing. The down but not out. Like this game has a lot of Western AAA influence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean all the cover stuff. And also it almost felt like the first couple large boss encounters felt like something in a more single player action RPG like East or Zelda, because you would be getting some hits in, you would do the trick, then they'd be in a stun state for you to just wail on them, and then they'd get up again. So it's like it goes back to that thing of having the encounters feel crafted, so that there's a sort of if not a gimmick, there's different approaches that you can take. But also, it's definitely not a game where you just watch bigger numbers happen in front of an enemy as you do different attacks. It's like position's super important, and there's these gimmicks that can be pretty fun. I don't want to just say the same thing over and over again.
So
but I think it's sort of neat.
A quick aside, we keep talking about Gears of War, and I think at its core, one of the great things about Gears of War is in the first game. Well, yes, obviously. I mean, chainsaws should be on everything. It should be on your car. It should be on your dog.
It should be on the giant laser that comes down from the sky. It's a chainsaw laser.
Absolutely. Preferably on dolphins as well.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think what really revolutionized and made Gears of War great was, first of all, the 2v2 co-op in the first game, 4-player co-op later on, and then the multiplayer. I can't help but think how amazing this game would be if like all 4 of us were playing through the campaign as different characters.
Oh shit!
I saw a multiplayer option on the main page or like the main menu. I never used that option because I had no idea what it did.
And that's my next question: is does anybody know what that actually does?
I think it's an arena mode.
Oh, well, that's not as
Even arena though would be a lot interesting.
Like a horde mode.
Maybe we should try to set that up before the month is over.
Maybe we should just Google search it right now.
No, I don't think we can do it because it was on the old Wii game system.
Oh, right. They shut down all the Wii servers. You can't even play.
2014 is, I believe, when that stopped.
Yeah, you can't even play Wii Mario Kart anymore.
Thanks, Nintendo, for being awful once again.
That like killed me.
And they also shut down the DS's online stuff. So if you buy Dragon Quest 9 now, you can't get all of the DLC, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
So anyway, Nintendo not the best at online. Unfortunately.
I hope they do another last story and like put that in, but have like you play with other people.
They're not going to do one. It's already called The Last Story. There's not going to be
one. Final Fantasy. Well, there you go.
We actually had a comment about that from Marshmallow, and he or she really need to find out that.
I apologize if I unintentionally plagiarized you, Marshmallow, but
Marshmallow stated, I love The Last Story with the single exception of I hated playing it on the Wii. I'd probably rebuy it if it ever came, or if it ever got a new 3DS re-release for some reason. Which, first of all, that'd be awesome, but it's probably never going to happen. Yeah. But in honesty, how much of it being on the Wii hurts its experience for you?
I mean, considering the next game Mistwalker made was a cell phone game, I am pretty happy it's on the Wii.
Because you're saying it could be worse?
Yeah.
We could have had to import a Japanese cell phone to be able to do the podcast.
They do a lot with the Wii, not as much as say Xenoblade, but I mean the town's pretty big. There's a lot of NPCs moving at once. It's surprising in some ways, but it looks like like Dorito people, kinda.
Yeah, I actually overall think it's too bad because the visual aesthetic I think is awesome.
Yeah, and the animations are decent.
But the Wii makes it look kind of terrible.
Like Dorito.
I always go when I try to insult it. It looks like a Sega Saturn game.
That's okay. That's maybe a little harsh, but
No, it's
I
very
agree
charming
that-
though.
It is super charming. The aesthetics, the art direction of it is some of the best I've seen actually recently.
I kind of
Yeah,
like it when they're talking and they don't move their lips.
Yeah. Oh, do any of you guys kind of feel like this setting reminds you of Ivolus?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's probably one of the reasons I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the color palette is sort of washed out. They use a lot of browns and grays, but not oppressively so. It reminds me of Vagrant Story of the
Yes.
the main setting of that, and also how angular the characters look. It looks
Yeah,
like a prettier,
yep.
like a slightly prettier Vagrant
It
Story.
looks just like Vagrant Story.
Well, wait until you start collecting the color dyes and the different armors. Then the
Oh,
clothes get really different, and you can remove it while still having the defense and just customize your parents.
I'm super pissed though because I missed the naked dye.
I think I
Already?
It was in chapter 7. Whenever you're talking to Lisa outside.
Yeah.
I actually got the invisible dye, but I haven't put it on yet because, like, how weird and voyeuristic does it get with, like, Siren? Or Cyrene? I don't know.
Sylvanas. That's how I read her name.
Sure.
Wow.
Well,
That
welcome
is
to
way
this
off.
to the
Seems
Retro
place
Encounter Heroes of
guys.
the Storm episode, or the
Let's
Warcraft
play-
3 episode.
It's
We're playing with
it's
Zael over here.
it's the Hearthstone episode.
Oh, it's the Hearthstone episode. My bad.
I don't know. I'm not sure. It's not that I would have used it. I'm mad that I missed the chance to have it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I know how you feel. Like there was like one thing, one weapon I missed, or one item I missed in a dungeon, and you can't go back. That's it. Move forward, start a new game plus. It killed me. It's like, why would you do that to me?
Yeah, and I'm purposely not looking at anything. I'm only looking at stuff after I've gotten done with the chapters. So like
Yeah.
when I was getting some of these notes, I went through some of the plot summaries really quick. And I was like, oh, that would have been really nice to know. I would have enjoyed that die. If nothing else, for just like a funny, I'll take a picture, put it up on Twitter, like, oh, look at that.
I did get the invisible dye, and I haven't been looking at guides. I just tried to explore the town sort of thoroughly as soon as I had access to it. But I have a question for Davy and Marcos, I guess. Is this the only town in the game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
And okay, I guess you'll be, because the game sort of uses more of a mission structure than like a world map structure. You'll basically just go out, do missions, do stuff, then you're back in town, right?
Well, I don't want to say they're missions because the game's a little bit more fluid than that. I would honestly just call
Sometimes
them
you go-
chapters.
Sometimes you go out for a long time and it takes you a while. Like at the end of chapter 12, when you're on the Garat kayak, like it has merchants and I almost said a place to save. Yeah, a place to save. So it's got like all the stuff you would need from town. You can upgrade your gear and whatnot, but you're not in the city, like because plot reasons.
But I mean, this is a city that you'll be seeing a lot of over the course of the game.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
That's
that-
too bad.
No, well, I don't know. That could go two different ways. I mean, it can go to, like, depending on how much you like or dislike the city. It could be you could either say this is a really intimate setting with personality, and I really like the vibe of it, and it's a cool place I like exploring. Or you could say, man, this is the only damn city in the game. Please give me another city.
For me,
in which it's like, you know, like Tales of Legendia or Dragon Age 2. Where it's like, God, get me the hell out of Kirkwall, please.
so for me more so, which this wouldn't have helped too. Thus far, they've made everything they've designed interesting. Whereas like Dragon Age 2 just like copy pasted everything over and over again.
You had to do every single stupid corridor in that
Yeah.
game 4 times.
I'm finding this world so interesting. I just want to be able to see more of it. So that'd be my only disappointment of it, because I've really enjoyed the setting thus far. So I would want to see other towns, other cultures, see like travel to and from to get a better idea of the landscape.
Yeah,
That's where I'm coming from for it.
Yeah, and I gotta make sure there's one optional chapter that I don't want any of you to miss. It's like I already said it. It's the Haunted Mansion chapter. It's an optional one.
Right, yeah,
But-
you mentioned it on the show notes before we started recording.
Yeah, you like it's great. Like just the way it's set up on how they treat the cast and just the goofiness that happens in there. And if you miss out on that, you miss out on the flavor of the game.
Is there is it? Sorry to interrupt, man, but is there a point of no return, like, plot point that I absolutely should not do until I've done the Haunted Mansion?
No, I think I stopped this episode, like the chapters up to where it'll eventually get into that area. I'll let everyone know about that so we don't miss out.
All right,
on the
yeah,
Haunted
just
Mansion.
send me a message because I would like to not miss any missable content. Missable content's one of my pet peeves in RPGs like these. So I would, yeah, please tell me that.
So in the same vein, the combat kind of feels like it has a lot of nods to Gears of War. I kind of feel like the city is kind of trying to ape Assassin's Creed.
That
Like it just has
Because
the
of-
same kind of vibe.
because of a person hiding in a cart, and nobody will be able to find them because they're there.
All the time.
That's a great callback, actually.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
Wow.
I get what you mean. Like, there's like the stucco floors, and it's a living, breathing city with a lot of NPCs and crowds that you navigate through, sort of. And you do get chased by guards at one point.
Oh, that is the worst part of the whole game thus far.
Really?
I thought
I just did it in 2 minutes. It was no big deal.
Exactly.
I kept
When
getting.
I
Well,
got there, I was like, I hate this, and then it was over.
Lisa
Yeah,
kept getting
yeah.
grabbed.
They grabbed me or Lisa, I don't know, 2 or 3 times, and then I shook them, and it was no big deal.
Are you-
Josh, you just gotta go fast. That's
So,
all.
so are you guys playing with the Wiimote or the classic Pro controller?
Wiimote.
Classic controller.
Classic controller.
Okay. So I think on the Wiimote, quickly shake, because I think you had to shake it really quick.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So you had to. Oh God, they did the
Well,
Donkey
you had
Kong
to.
Country
You didn't have to
Returns
shake
thing.
it. You had to move the
Jerk it?
control stick. Yeah.
Well,
no.
it's the same motion, but no.
No, you had to.
You can shake it side to side, or you can jerk it up and down. That's very different motions.
I was gonna say you just move the actual control stick, but
Okay.
All right.
So I'm on the. I have the classic like NES controller.
okay.
And the sticks. It's not made for using the sticks. It is made for like D-pad playing classic Mario, and so it just felt terrible just moving it back and forth really quickly. Just there's sloppy sticks.
I actually really like the Wii Classic controller. It's a slightly more complicated SNES controller, which is a-okay, but in my book.
Right, and that's what it's perfect for, is being that type of controller. I think when you start using the analog sticks, that's where I think I'd rather have a pro controller. Hoping that it's actually better, which it probably isn't. But
I'm
I don't-
still mad that I couldn't use my classic controller for Donkey Kong Country Returns. That made me really angry that to roll you had to shake the Wiimote. Ugh.
I don't think there's a way to move the camera up and down if you're just on the Wiimote.
really,
I'm pretty sure.
That might be true. I'm not really sure. I really didn't think about it when playing. I know. Yeah, I don't think so.
You can move it up and down when you lock on, or you're doing
Yeah.
you're in scan mode or whatever, detective mode or whatever it's called. But
Like
in the, I mean,
Xenoblade, you can hold Z and move the nunchuck.
right.
what is
It gets-
everybody's
it-
thoughts on those scan modes?
I sort of wish they didn't have them. Is it that hard to just have a little icon pop up and walk to it? I don't think it adds anything to the game.
Like I said in my notes, there's one part at the very end of what we played here when you fight a boss where it really pays off, and because you get dropped into all those segments, and like you get to watch the boss break down a wall and like come in and attack you, and it's really epic and exciting. But
Yeah. Well, he doesn't attack you first, mind you.
But I
Right.
mean, that's using first-person perspective in a cool way. Is it actually make the search and find for the reticule to turn red thing? Does it make that meaningfully good?
no,
See,
that was just an excuse to
way.
point at stuff.
And that's the problem with it is, what you do after you find stuff can be cool. So like I'm zooming in on this picture, I'm zooming in on this person. For the boss battle, I'm panning over to that. We keep talking about Gears of War. That's pressing the Y button, and you focus on that. And it's an optional thing. You can get that extra. I think it's Y. I hope it is. You can get that extra story element, or you can choose not to do it. And here, it's one of those. They're adding this extra arbitrary step that is more tedious and annoying than it is worthwhile. And
Yeah,
it
it's
took
not
me.
really additive.
It kept popping up on the bottom of the screen. I was like, why is that thing? It took me like 5 chapters to be like, oh, I should probably use this. Oh, I got an extra item. That was helpful. So is
That's how you find those stupid bluebirds to get the invisible thread.
there's what? See, and I probably wasn't doing that either.
Well, you said earlier that you missed out on the invisible
I
die.
was too concentrated on trying to touch Lisa.
Yes, that
I was
scene's
too
so great.
distracted. So
Her reaction's
You get
great.
that from my notes, or
no, like I played through it.
This is the fireworks and stars scene, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
the whole scene was just completely screwed for me. I was playing on mute, so like
Oh,
she
you sounded a nice, pretty song then.
she starts humming, and I'm like, what is going on? Like,
She was obviously summoning a meteor shower.
it's one of those like, is that? Do I smell toast? Am I having a seizure? Like, what stroke? Like, what is going on? Like, why are they just standing kind of like smiling at each other? Like, this is super awkward and creepy.
oh,
And then she's like, "That was a nice song," and I was like, "Did they just not animate her mouth? Like, what?" And she's like, "Too bad I don't remember the words." It's like, "Oh, you were humming. Yeah, I dropped the ball on that one."
yeah.
And so it goes right from that, and she awkwardly stands, and I was like, "All right, well, sure, okay."
Touch her.
And then this whole game's been like, "Yo, Zael, you need to get it in occasionally." And I'm like, "All right, well, let's go for this." I already walked in on her when she was bathing. Let's try to touch her.
Yeah, this game's a little naughty. It's sort of hilarious.
Yeah, like, have you gotten the cutscene where where Seren was talking about the arena? You didn't. It was literally just one big cock tease, and like Zael's like, "I don't feel comfortable you talking about this."
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah, like it sounds like
Okay.
she's describing a whorehouse or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, this is a dirty game.
It is.
Yeah.
But so I go to touch her. She like, what are you doing? And super awkward. It gives me the option again. I was like, I'm gonna touch her again.
How many times did you try to touch her?
5.
But you know what? The narrator narrating it was great.
And every time he
Yeah.
fell in the water, I was like, dude, come on. You gotta learn after the first or second time. Like, go lower. I don't know. Like, don't jump.
Yeah, when his hand was going right into her peripheral vision, so like, he was telegraphing his move.
He wasn't
way
even a
too
good
much.
stalker. He could have been so much creepier about that.
Maybe he should ask Lowell for some pointers on how to properly stalk a pretty girl. Because I bet Lowell knows how to do that.
Lowell doesn't have to.
Well, that's true. I mean, Lowell and Siren are the best characters. Just period.
Oh, I feel like everyone is the best character in this game.
Yeah, I actually quickly like when they first introduced during that first 15 minutes, like we were talking about how it was great. I thought everything was great except for I had no idea who anybody was. I'm like, oh, well, this is gonna be annoying. I'm not gonna care about any of these people. And then immediately after you get back to the town and you're in that bar, like the bar tavern, it's like these characters are fantastic. They're awesome.
Well, I'm assuming that Yurik gets better because right now he's just kind of dour.
Yeah.
But he's
Yeah.
great because he's the only one that like
The
they
street man.
balance each other out so well.
Yeah, I think he eventually will have like an arc and something for me to like latch onto with him. But right now he's just kind of a downer.
Well, that's
But-
why I stopped you there.
All right. Yeah, I'm only at chapter 9, I think.
So you're
But,
saying you hope you get to kill him at some point?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm
Kill him.
just hoping that we get a little more out of him so I can, actually develop an opinion on him. But so far I think the cast is pretty cool. The option to play dress up with armor and color is really fun, so I don't have to complain about people's outfits all the time like
Yeah,
on the Final
great.
Fantasy X cast. But yeah, so far the cast is really appealing, and I am very much looking to playing more of this month for sure.
So yeah, worth noting, you do spend a lot of your time in this game in a bar.
Good.
Sure. Okay. You say that like it's a
It's-
problem.
No, it's great. It's like the Catherine of action RPGs.
Ooh, I have a good
Whoa,
idea.
Careful.
Yeah, that's calm down there. I want to do one of these nights. I think I play this. I'm gonna try to match them drink for drink.
Oh boy,
Whoa.
alcohol poisoning.
You're aware that like before hour 1, Siren shuts down the entire bar,
Yeah.
and you have to go get more booze.
you
And
never
there's no
get
booze in the city.
She has
You
to go
just-
to like another bar.
You just
Or
run
wherever
into
that
some
guy was
girl,
from.
and you're like, "Hey, let's do this instead. Beer isn't important."
Yeah, and you ran past right where you're supposed to get the beer anyways. Why couldn't you pick it up there?
Hey, got some beer real quick.
And apparently he can just carry in his pocket enough beer for the entire bar, or Siren, or whatever. But like,
I just
no, he's not unencumbered. He's not carrying a cart. The guy's like, here, just hand motion all the beer. All right.
Wait,
I just
you didn't
the
get the
idea-
beer.
Wait, do you get the beer?
Yeah, you get the
No.
beer. The guy gives you the
No.
beer when.
Oh.
Yeah, he
I
does.
Don't
Oh.
remember. I'll believe
Well,
you.
you
though.
at least talk. Oh, do you talk to the guy and then you see Lisa hiding in the cart and then you never get the beer?
You never even make it to where you're supposed to get the beer.
That's
I
what
never
thought.
get the beer.
I thought you talked. I could have sworn you talked to the guy that get this. I did this.
Hey,
like
I'm not
3 days
denying
ago.
it. I'm not denying
I did
it.
this
All I'm
last
saying-
night.
I did this a couple hours ago, but like again, I'm
I
not
just-
denying it's happening.
I just love this real life scenario of adventurers like coming home back to town at the end of the night and being like, "Oh man, Zael, are you sober, man? Go get us a dirty 30."
I love that Zael has 0 game with girls, so to the point that the one time he brings one back, they don't care that he doesn't have the beer.
Yeah,
That's the
Yeah,
more
like-
entertaining
like
angle for
Lowell
me.
is so proud. He is just
Like-
so proud. It's a fun dynamic that the party has.
And with that, I like all the choices. I don't think the conversation actually means anything, but just the slight variations of what you can respond with certain things.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's fun.
It adds just that little bit of seasoning to it. A little
Yeah,
bit of
agreed.
spice.
Like the option like to go peep on them, that adds like an extra like line of dialogue. Where it's like, you're a pervert.
if you don't peep on them, you hear the sound of boob touching.
What?
What?
So,
Wait,
yeah.
wait. No. Stop. Pause. I would like you
Oh,
to
this is
make
some-
the noise of what that even is.
This is some like bathhouse manga nonsense.
it was kind of a bloop bloop.
Kind of like the slime from Dragon Quest.
Yeah, it's a Dragon
the
Quest
poof
puff puff. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Wow. You know, this is almost gross to say out loud, but I think like boob touching is a running subplot in the Dragon Quest games.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
There's.
Oh.
I think.
We can cut that out of the podcast.
Nothing ever gets cut out of
Cut
this
it out.
podcast.
I
Damn
think
it.
women comparing boob sizes in the bathhouse is a Japanese cultural thing.
Well, that's why it's in like 40% of every anime ever invented.
That and everyone just likes boobs a lot. Not
Sure.
Well,
everyone.
hopefully that's true, and it's just not like a very like
Fan-
like anime fan service thing.
It's
where
fan
they
service.
just fully did it. It's like, yeah, this isn't cultural in Japan. These people are just perverts.
Well,
Well, it happens in
I-
Persona 3 and Persona 4, which I have played in the last 4 months. So yeah.
Right, that is cultural history right there.
Yeah, if
don't-
it's in Persona, then that is
Well,
Japan.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Persona is the most important cultural artifact of our lifetimes.
I will
True.
deny that.
I'm
Um,
pretty sure that there actually is demons that come out at midnight. You have to shoot yourself in the head. That's why I
Shadows.
don't buy a gun, because I'm nervous I'd actually do that.
I don't think it's fan servicey because it's not titillating like at all. Like there's
Oh, yeah,
nothing.
No, they're
Oh,
just being cheeky. It's
just blue humor.
I like that you use the word cheeky, because we've had to listen to weird British Australian accents the whole time playing it
Right.
too.
Oh, freaking
Wearing
Lowell's accent.
dandy clobber.
Well, I mean, Lowell. I mean, they even changed his name to a Welsh name. It's a Welsh accent.
Oh.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's,
I'm not far off from British. Sorry, anybody that's from Britain.
Well, no. It is British because Wales is in Britain, but not England. But whatever. I don't mind the accents. I mean, I like the localization that they did for Dragon Quest VIII and Xenoblade and a bunch of stuff. So it hasn't bothered me a lot yet.
It's
but-
no Mr. Drippy though.
The first time I played this
Such a
game,
rules.
I actually used an undub because I don't like dubs. But I didn't bother with that trouble when I was playing it for the show. I'm just going legit. And I don't hate it like at all. And that's like really rare for me with a dub.
So legitimately, I think on every podcast, every game we've done yet for Retro Encounter, there's been complaints with the voice acting, and I feel like this is the first game that we've played that I don't think it's a valid complaint.
It's good.
It's definitely better than FF10s.
I don't even like dubs, and I like this, so that's the thing. Check it
Yeah.
out.
No, and I think actually, never mind. There's one voice that is both confusing and odd, and that is the narrator.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
And Marcos, in the notes, you're like, hey, do you remember this line when the narrator speaks? And then Zael turns to the camera and is like, whose voice was that back there? Sounded so lonely. And you're like, I'm pretty sure he's talking about the narrator. I thought
No,
the
he's talking
exact
about-
same thing.
No, he's
I'm glad that you thought that. I know you're talking about the voice when you get that.
The powers.
Yeah.
when I saw that, I thought you were telling a joke. It was clearly the girl's voice when he got the channeling powers.
It sounded like he was
blew
breaking the
my
fourth wall
mind.
there.
I was like, this is the coolest game ever. We're a half hour in. He is talking to me.
Earthbound, we're breaking the fourth wall, and like, are they in a game? Do they know they're in a game? Or is everyone in this game Deadpool? It's like, no, come on, guys.
It was fantastic. And then I was like, oh, no, that's actually disappointing. That would have been stupendous.
I kind of half wished he looked at the camera after saying that and just winking. And
Oh, absolutely. Don't worry, I winked to him. It was there.
I brushed my hand against the screen.
Hey,
Yeah,
you
y'all are
guys,
crazy.
how do you guys feel about shipping Zael and Dagrin? Because I got this really strongly, like, I grew up around a lot of, like, yaoi fangirl culture, and, like, it's very close to my consciousness at all times.
I used to
Well-
post on a DMC forum, so I understand.
Well,
Gotcha.
my question is, how big is Dagrin's hand?
Nope. 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 I'm drawing the line. Nope.
But
Cut.
how big are its
All right, I guess I closed
Cut.
the book on
Does
the
he have
Nope.
yaoi
Dagrin.
hands?
Nope.
nice thumbs?
Nope. We're
I
done.
ship Lowell with everyone.
Like tiny heads, big heads.
But for real, did you guys get some vibes during
Well-
watching nights?
It's super weird. There's that whole overprotectiveness of like I was worried about you. Are you okay? And it's like there's like 7 other people. You should be worried about somebody else too. But then at the same point, they've been together since they were little lads. You know, I mean,
Lads, yes.
they
I think they're talking about doing with FF15 with the male intimacy.
yeah. There's a bro force right there.
Yeah.
And so
Kinda hot.
it is kind of weird because there's the rest of the group and whatnot, but it's they're obviously been together for a very long time.
Yeah.
I think they overdo it with kind of like trying to force that you understand that it's there, and it definitely leads to some awkwardness. But at the same point, I get it. They were like what 8, 10 since they started hanging out. I mean that's
I think that's the fan servicey part of this game. Like they really drive home that intimacy between them, and it's like really easy to be like, I just want them to kiss so bad. Because I did. I'm into it. Except
Sure.
Zael has a weird mouth.
I would agree
Oh.
with you if they weren't so obviously shipping, like getting
Callista.
the viewers to get Callista and
Yeah.
Zael together. But it's like,
Well, that's
but
the old.
if it wasn't for her, I would totally
Yeah.
be on board.
That's the old yaoi fangirl thing, like from the '90s. Is you hate the heroine because she ruins the shipping.
Right?
Lisa's pretty cool, and I'm not calling
yeah,
her
she's a
Callista.
bad-
She's just going to be Lisa to me.
I thought their meet cute was a little too cute. It's like, I don't know, it's like Aladdin meeting Jasmine in the market. She doesn't know how to buy things. She gets
Yeah,
chased by
you're right.
guards. It's like, come on.
But-
Why are you in love with her after 2 minutes of stupid crap?
Because it's the first girl that actually showed attention to him that wasn't an alcoholic.
That's true. This is the only sober woman I've ever met.
Much more odd to me than her
Yeah,
not
the
knowing how.
feathers in his hair, right?
Well, yeah, I'm not. I think that's just weird Wii artifacting. That's what I'm gonna blame it on.
Oh, okay.
But how do they not know who she is? Like,
She's
Well,
Because
she never
she's
leaves
a
the
shut-in.
castle, so
Yeah,
even if
she's a
they're
shut-in.
aware that of who Callista is, they might not know what she looks like at all because she never gets out and sees the public.
because Celine's seen all of her.
Yeah, and also Zael is super dense. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, he's that trope.
Dense is the word we're gonna use.
Oblivious,
What adjective
Socially
do you
awkward.
prefer?
sure.
Awkward as a whole,
The meaning of awkward.
but the sword he carries is strong, and I
Oh.
think that's what everybody enjoys about him, both Dagrid and Lisa.
Oh, so I know Mike brought up the boss battles being somewhat Zelda-like, which I agree with, but that's especially relevant since the boss, like at this point in the game, was Ganondorf.
Do you have to play Pong with him for a minute before you can get him into the stunt state?
I mean, he has the body of Ganondorf.
Oh, you mean Zangarak or whatever his name?
He has Zangarak.
Okay, I don't think I don't.
Yeah,
think
I could see that because he has his henchman that's blue and red, kind of like the twin Rova sisters or whatever.
He looks just like Ganondorf.
And we're talking about Ganondorf with a red beard and not Ganon the demon pig.
Correct.
Demon pig. I didn't see that, but we've also talked about this many times on the podcast. I've never gotten to the end of a Zelda game, so that might be why too. But I did not.
I forgot.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you just have difficulty finishing games in general.
No, it's just more I have difficulty finishing games that aren't good.
I thought you liked Final Fantasy X. Have you ever beaten it?
I like it enough, but not enough to care about finishing it.
Right. I'm
So
sorry.
what's,
I was just giving you the business, but whatever.
Bye.
So all right, looking forward to future Ganondorf.
They actually, so you type in Zangarak's name, and like the third thing on Twitter, like you might also like the searches or whatever, Ganondorf pops up right away.
I told you, dog. So
Really
the Garak
does
are
look
kind of weird though.
He
Like-
really does look like Ganondorf. If Ganondorf had a cat face.
So
Cat Ganon, yep.
where did the Garak come from
Ganondorf?
again? That kind of just happened out of nowhere. There's like ninja
They'll explain
cats.
more. They'll explain more about the Garak and their situation and why they did what they did.
So it's more of them just back-ending the
You
exposition.
know how the
instead
game
of
started,
promoting.
where they just throw you in.
Yep.
It's kind of like
Yep.
how the Zarak are thrown in. Like, whoa, the Zarak, the Garak. It's like, who the hell is the Garak?
The Garak, the master kayakers.
They must be. They have many ships.
They do come in ship. That's true.
Hawana.
A whole kayak of Garak are attacking.
So should
Wow.
we assume then that Zangarak, Zanny, is
Zanny.
going to be the
Zan the man.
main
Yeah.
villain of the game?
If nothing else, he's like a mid-boss type guy.
I mean, based on his hair alone, I would say he's a red herring.
Boom. Jokes all day.
I'm just gonna walk away. It's not gonna get any better than that.
I don't know. I thought he was up to the task, but it seems like he's a little rusty.
Yeah, well, take a look at his armor, like his artwork. He looks like a final boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks like
badass.
Ganondorf, who is a very well-known final boss.
Already a final boss, yeah.
He definitely has a
Spoilers,
presence
Josh.
to him.
Ganondorf is the final boss a lot of the time.
Oh, I know. We all know that Zelda's only made one game and just repeated it since then, so...
But yeah,
Yeah, sure.
I dropped like everything in my notes when I got there. And just typed, oh shit, it's Ganondorf.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
And then you get a man hoping from him, you have to lose Ganondorf.
You should probably publish these notes on the forums so people have
was thinking
an
about
iota of an idea of what we're talking about.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm magic.
Magic. What does that mean?
Because you get beat up. You get beat up.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
what are you gonna do? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm magic, and everything's okay. You, can
You
fight
don't
my-
even get beat up, you get humiliated.
Yeah. No, you get beat up pretty bad. I got killed like 3 or 4 times.
Uh,
Well, it's
But
okay
also-
because you only die after 5 times.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's another scripted fight. I was very sad, and I saw like, I'm gonna go in this fight was level 80. I'm gonna kill this guy. He totally kills my character. I was like,
That's because
okay,
you didn't go
okay,
magic.
it's
You can
scripted.
beat him up after you go magic.
Yeah, but it still stops. And it's just like, okay, I felt like I really had a chance against this guy.
Gotta
I was like,
turn
oh.
it on, and you say, yo Ganondorf, come get some of this glowing.
you really should have probably leveled up your character more. You shouldn't have come to the fight under-leveled.
I was underprepared. I
Yeah.
don't even know what I was thinking. Like, final armor, weapon, nope, still not enough. What am I thinking?
So, speaking of kind of bosses, I guess, how disappointing was it their friend that used to be a mercenary that I can't think of his name right now,
The
You don't-
mustache twirling villain.
that you don't really get to just beat on him?
No, he sort of just
Yeah.
runs away and no, what's her name?
Mariana.
Marania.
Marania hits him on the head with the frying pan,
Yeah.
Some Scooby-Doo stuff over here.
Yeah.
Super Mario RPG style.
But as soon as he dropped me down those cheesy trap doors, I was
Yeah,
going
he
to
just stomps on the floor.
crap out of him.
This cartoon trap door just opens underneath your party.
Because that's a thing,
I
right?
planned this all along.
It's like the worst placed button for a floor door.
Yeah, I didn't know. That was a good one.
Like that has to all the time casually like I'm having a conversation with you. We're cool. Oops, sorry.
I like
See if
that-
you make it back up here.
His swords were confusing because he had like 3 katana, one of them
Yeah.
not in the sheath. There was like a weird katana candelabra on his waist. It was whatever. That guy's
Guy was decked
swords.
out.
He deserved a beating.
So also,
He has a very punchable face. Yeah.
everyone was in a party with him before and didn't realize that he's just like a crazy evil villain man. Like he's trying to scarecrow the town or something. And he stole a little kid's drugs. That's like exactly the plot of the Archer Rampage miniseries.
Right.
Rampage.
Terms of enrampagement.
There you go. Yep,
Yes.
nailed it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch those again too.
Oh, those are fantastic.
It's like
So
1
yeah,
a.m.
you go on a
I'm gonna watch them
rampage
right
to
after
get
this.
some cancer drugs back from the mob. Did it end up being the Irish mob?
It's Irish mob.
Yep. Okay. I didn't want to be racist.
It's not racist if it's on Archer.
And
That's what I'm saying.
He's just reporting what happened on the show. It's-
Yeah.
I wanted to report accurately.
You didn't say anything terrible about the Irish people. You just said
No, I'll leave that to Mallory.
So yeah, the last story. Would this game be better or worse with Sterling Archer instead of Zael?
the answer is
fuck.
always yes.
Who
Could
can
you
out-
imagine that game?
What would happen in a drinking game between Archer and
He fits
Siren?
right in. That'd be no. They don't replace
They
Zael.
they wouldn't be able to finish the game because they'd both leave to the hotel room.
And it would somehow end up with Lowell and Archer having tattoos of each
Man.
other's name on their chests.
Absolutely.
Get on it, Dev.
Some ping pong
I
paddles.
think we just wrote the last story too, guys.
No, if an Archer game's gonna happen, I want it to be a Telltale game.
Oh man. Oh, I would play
would
that in a half second.
That's the way you do it.
I really think the last Archer would be better.
The Last Archer. So instead of you're like, I hear a noise. Is it a cart? Oh, it's Sterling Archer. Oh, okay. Hey.
And the only dyes on his armor are black and slightly darker black.
Yep. Absolutely.
I actually put Zael in the the tactile neck, which I think is even called the stealth shirt.
Well, everybody knows that all turtlenecks are stealth shirts.
Right. I was very pleased that they acknowledged that in game.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh.
Okay, so the last story.
Right.
How's everyone feeling so far? Are you excited for the rest of the month?
Yeah, I enjoyed the 5 or 6 hours I played. I will continue playing it. It has its plot hooks in me. I think the battle system has potential. I hope that I don't get bored running around Lazuli Town or whatever it's called. But
Well,
Lazuli Island, whatever the castle town, whatever.
Something like that.
But I'm enjoying it so far, and this is not going to be a chore playing the rest of it. I think.
No, not at all.
plus
This game goes really fast.
Like, yeah, it's only like 25 hours to beat, I think.
Only 25 hours, only an entire freaking day. But I mean,
With the
for
stuff we've been doing.
I know.
And
But
also-
we're RPG players, so 25 hours seems brisk.
I put 90 hours almost into Tactics last month, so this is like a walk in the park for me.
I threw a good 40 or 45 into Final Fantasy X in July. In June.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a much shorter bite size, but I think also by making it more bite sized, we're giving it a lot more concise story and characters.
Yeah, and it all goes back to the scripted encounters and everything. Like, they want every event to be scripted, and then as a result, you don't get as much content because they're not reusing stuff. Like, they're not padding the game with just dropping encounters all the time.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the game that most famously has scripted encounters is Chrono Trigger, and Chrono Trigger's only a 20-hour game or so, but it's contemporaries on the SNES that use random encounters like your
Yeah.
FF5s and FF6s are a good 10-15 hours longer than Chrono Trigger.
No, that's a really good point. I never thought about it, but I never got frustrated going through like waves and waves of enemies in Chrono Trigger because I was always moving forward. I was never just random encounters. Like Magus's castle, you fight so many mobs, but it doesn't feel like a chore.
In fairness, though, and I think Last Story would extend to this as well, but Chrono Trigger, part of its brilliance is its battle system. So no matter what, you're always enjoying the actual battle.
And I'm not saying Last Story is as good as Chrono Trigger, but that was the whole scripted encounters and the feeling of forward momentum is definitely a Chrono Trigger vibe that I felt with this.
Yeah, but even when you're grinding, I feel it's very rewarding because when you grind for a certain amount of rounds, you eventually get a strong enemy encounter, and usually they dish out some better armor or items or some kind of reward. So, like, sure, if you grind, but you're gonna get rewarded at some point.
That's nice
if I hit a snag where the game,
like
if I hit a snag where the game starts feeling too hard, I'll probably do that and get way too decked out. That's something that might happen.
Do you eventually get to kill the spirit tiger?
I don't remember.
You know what? I really don't remember.
That whole chapter was that stupid ghost tiger.
I feel like when he left, he was laughing at me, and I just want to bash his
Why were you
cat
fighting
face
him?
into me.
You were so
this
beautiful.
one thing I should point out is, like, even though like I'm at like level 80, the bosses or the larger boss fights, they're at my level as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like
so some enemies do scale to your level.
Only the bosses, like the actual like scripted fights, or I think the first round of a summon circle is whatever the level is there. However, when you do like another summon circle, then they match your level, and then it becomes
That's
kind of
fantastic.
dangerous, but still yeah. So every
That's a pretty
round
good way to
I was
balance it
leveling
out.
up characters, like 5 like summon circles, and I leveled up like 5 times in a row. Like everyone was always leveling up.
I do like that. It seems like
Leveling up is satisfying.
it happens a
Constantly
lot.
Yeah.
Almost to the point that it's like, well, every time I punch somebody, I'm gonna get a new level.
Yeah. I mean, that's okay, right?
It is
It's a short
kind
game,
of.
so they want.
Well, I mean, it feels good to be consistently rewarded for time investment in this kind of game, and
exactly.
And I mean, we mentioned a short time ago that the game is only about 25 hours or so. So even if you're constantly gaining levels, by the end of the game, you'll probably be around level 80, like Marco says.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, and like I said, like the boss fights, I'm fighting like that weird belly monster at the bottom of the basement over at the high. He was matched at my level, so even though I was whacking on this guy, he just was not taking any damage. I had to actually do the slash command and follow whatever triggers, and then attack him. And even then, it was slowly draining.
I did want to talk a little bit about that last boss we fought in chapter 11 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I don't think I've gotten there yet.
Well, I'm gonna spoil a little bit for you, Mike.
All right, I'll take off my headphones and you guys say something in the chat.
All right, I'll type it into the chat, please.
All right, cool.
So just that when you knock him down and you do like the ride and stab thing, that felt like really God of War to me. Like it felt like a different game for a minute.
Well, you gotta attack the enemy's underbelly for massive damage. That's all I have to say.
It was just fun to climb up on him and do the stupid mash to attack thing. I don't know.
I do like that. I'm not sure if you want to bring Mike back, but I enjoy that they're. I mean, you can force your way through a boss battle, but there's little things that you have to do to actually make it an easier fight.
Yeah, I was, when you get to the later, like, I stopped you at, like, again, chapter 12 for a reason, because later on in 13 up, there's some bosses where you don't want to do that. You want to strategize, or you can end up dying. Like, it's going to get harder. I'll just say that.
You, having to stop at the end of chapter 12 was like, there's an actual legitimate cliffhanger, thanks.
Yeah, like, now you actually have an option to go to two different routes, like one for Morania and one for Yorick, and each one has a boss that's very interesting. They're unique. You will not find another boss like that, at least not unless it's an obstacle or some secret boss later on. But it's very, very fun, but can also kill you if you're not careful.
Okay. Yeah, I'm interested to see, because even so, the boss fight before you get to your ex-mercenary friend. I almost did the whole fight without actually doing a slash attack. So I actually like grinded that thing out, like rolled around and tanked him around, and so.
Was that a long fight then?
What?
Was that a long fight?
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say like that's a very, very difficult fight then.
It wasn't difficult. I just rolled around. I'd roll into my circle and have ice, and I'd attack a little bit, and I'd roll away, and I'd drag him towards me. I'd drag him away, because I couldn't figure out. So they kept saying attack from the balcony.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I can't reach him from the balcony. This is stupid.
Yeah. What happened is once you snap to hiding, or cover rather. You have the option to do a slash attack while he's near, like your area, and then you literally fly over to this guy and hit him.
Yeah, so I did the whole fight, and then I slashed once. He fell into his head into the doorway or whatever for some reason, and I touched him once and he died.
So, slashing out of cover kind of feels like the equivalent of throwing a grenade.
Yeah,
It feels good.
I equate it to a shotgun blast.
Oh, okay.
Wait until you get to the wall run. Then you're gonna feel.
Yeah,
like
I know.
You're gonna know what power is.
Yeah, that's fun. I remember just spamming that in the final boss fight.
Oh my god! Like I think you. Well, I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now I'm back.
All right,
Mike.
We're just talking about slashing people.
And
What,
how
like
good
slash
it feels.
fiction, like your like the
Like
comparison
Zael and
Davey was,
Dagrin.
yeah, it was Davey was making
Who done
earlier.
it?
Yeah. We were equating it to basically either a shotgun blast or a grenade in a normal kind of fighting game or a shooting game.
What kind of fighting games are you playing where there's shotgun
Yeah.
blasts and grenades?
The best.
That new Seth Killian one. What was that called? Rolling Thunder?
Roaring Thunder.
Smash
no,
Brothers
no.
Brawl. You
It-
play Snake.
No, it's something else Thunder. It's Rising Thunder. It's Rising
Oh,
Thunder. I
yeah.
think.
I want to get into that.
That looks super neat. I really
Looks
want to.
really
try
good.
it. Yeah.
It's one of those things. There's such a pedigree with everybody that's making it. You know, at the very least,
Right.
it'll have an interesting perspective on everything.
I mean, I mean, being the fanboy that I am, I'd probably want to play Street Fighter V more. But Rising Thunder looks really, really cool. I want to.
GGPO. Was it new GGPO? Dog?
Yeah.
It's the two creators of GGPOs, the Cannon
Yep.
brothers and Seth Killian.
Yeah.
So
Hell
it's,
yeah.
it's a crazy pedigree.
And I like that. Wow, we're way off
We're
last
talking about
story.
fighting back games now.
But I actually like the idea of simplifying combos onto buttons, like different moves
Yeah.
and whatnot, having cooldowns on it, and then I think it simplifies the process that I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's making it to be a baby game. I actually think it adds an extra element of kind of strategy and tying things together.
Well,
I actually,
beyond that,
just,
it's a good
it just
learning.
removes execution, or at least
Yeah.
high level execution from the
Yeah.
equation, and keeps everything else that's great about fighting games, or at least tries to, and also has one or two unique gimmicks that are pretty interesting.
and I think
It's a game I totally want to try.
I think it doesn't lower the top level play, but I think it
No.
raises the bottom rung
That's
of play.
that's the hope.
Exactly.
At least. That's
Yeah.
the hope. So it's a
I just think it's a good
play.
learning tool. Like if you never been able to get good at fighting games, like learn how to play a really easy one really good, and some of that's gonna carry over.
And it's totally understandable to not get into fighting games nowadays
It's-
because there's
it's
so
kinda
much
hard.
crap.
Oh yeah.
Like if you were to go in there totally green, where you've played other video games but never fighting games, and you try to get okay at Guilty Gear or Street Fighter, it will be
It's a cold-ass
incomprehensible at
world.
first.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I only played Third Strike, and that's it.
Oh.
Well, I mean, you want to talk about a game that has execution?
That's all.
Yeah, Third Strike's a
Shit.
peahutch.
Not that bad. But
I mean, it's very
I'm
precise.
I'm old school dog.
I mean, all I really do is forward dash and mash short and forward with Chun-Li, and I still win all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's Third Strike, John, for sure.
Yep.
You don't even
No,
card
well-
throw. Card
no, no.
throw is the fun part.
Well, I mean, real talk. I usually my favorite Third Strike characters are Yang and Dudley, but
Oh, I respect that.
yeah, but I like all offense, get you in the corner all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Definitely
a
Photo.
Rufus main in Street Fighter 4, so
Oh,
that'll also explain it.
I'm a sim main.
Oh, I hate you then.
Oh yeah, I love. Okay, let's just.
Yeah.
When he peaked around like Super Street Fighter 4 before Arcade
Yep.
Edition, it
Yep.
was brutal.
I love. I love that mind game. That I
Ugh.
get off. Take it away.
Oh, my skin's getting clammy.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna make you clammy.
Whatever. I would just pick
Oh.
E Honda and hold down back for 70 seconds.
T-Vi.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
Are we done recording? Because this is not even remotely the same conversation.
No.
Yeah,
Let's
we
roll
need
it
to-
back. So
Yo, reference.
we can recover from this, I swear. So
The Last Story 2, starring Chun-Li and Archer.
I'm actually gonna tie all of this back together.
I don't.
And
And
you
talk
guys
about how much you hate that other game that wasn't Blue Dragon.
Lost Odyssey.
Lost Odyssey.
Oh,
No,
So-
well, I'm gonna tie. So Lost Odyssey, since you mentioned it, now I have to bring it up. Lost Odyssey is one of those games.
Damn it.
I feel like it'd be the equivalent of the Street Fighter from the conversation. You need to have your execution. You need to have a full understanding of the genre in a lot of ways to be able to excel. In.
Yeah.
Whereas I almost would say, the Last Story is closer to Rising Thunder, where there is mechanics that is actually, I think, in a lot of ways would be a great first RPG.
Yeah, that goes along with the way it's pulling from all these Western AAA things. Is it's like kind of trying to give you that streamlined, get through the experience and enjoy it kind of thing.
Right. I think it's, first of all, if you're not used to Japanese games, it's not super Japanese.
Right.
Yeah, it feels like a Western fairy tale at times, even like
Yeah.
because the way they move from event to event and have the narrator frame the story before you begin an action sequence or a dungeon. It felt like I was reading a fairy tale, and I don't mean that in a condescending way at all.
No, I completely agree. All I'm saying about this, I'm not, so it's not confused, I'm not being condescending towards the Last Story
Oh no,
whatsoever.
I wasn't saying you were.
But you look at it, the walk up and it automatically attacks for you.
Mhm.
That takes an element out of it. Like there's a lot of principles to this that it makes it very simple for you if you're not used to overhead maps. It points to, occasionally the arrow point up and like, you need to go this way, you're going the wrong way. Like there's a lot of little cues and hints that it
Yeah.
has that it
Waypoints
steps you
and
through if you're actually struggling with it.
And for
wants-
most of the combat, you don't even have to go into a menu.
No.
Yeah. It wants you to get through. It wants you to learn how to get through these scripted events, and it's gonna raise the challenge level. But it's like
So-
it wants you to get there.
And
So at some point they're gonna take the training wheels off, and I'm gonna fall off the bike over and over. That's what you're saying?
When the first time I played this game, I literally never did a summoning circle encounter.
Oh, that's interesting.
I like the low level games anyway. So
I did exactly one because I wanted to see what it was, and that
Yeah.
I haven't done it since the first one.
And I just want to say this before we move away from it, with it being a great intro game. I know a lot of times that turns off people, so if you are listening to the podcast and you haven't played the game, you're like, well, now I'm not going to. I don't think at any point it's condescending to a player that actually understands the genre. Because a lot of times you can have these games where it's like, we're going to have this huge intro, not to make fun of this game, but you can look at Final Fantasy 13 and be like, there's 20 hours of a tutorial. This at no point, like, you can easily skip them, and a lot of times it's like, you know what, this isn't even to the point that it's annoying, because there's so much action, there's so much going on, that it
I haven't
breaks you
been
through it as
angry.
well.
I
No.
haven't been angry at any of these tutorials. It's like, oh, okay, this sounds like important information.
plus they're only a couple seconds. Like they give you that little video, and then you're done.
They're really smartly done. They're both stylistically, just like the menu that pops up, it looks cool. So I actually usually stare at the art, because it actually, the art in this game is spectacular. So to actually see the like more hand-drawn art, it's like, that looks awesome. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably actually see what they're trying to teach me. But even when like something pops up and it's like, by the name of this, I know what it is trying to tell me, I still click in and do the new tutorial because I've actually found them enjoyable. So.
Yeah, I haven't skipped any until I've read the whole thing thoroughly, because I think I had the feeling every time there was a tutorial that this was information that I would need the whole game, and it felt well paced and smartly done, and that just goes back to how the first 30 minutes of the game are a bunch of really escalating fights that really do a good job of explaining the basic mechanics.
It holds your hand, but doesn't make it obvious.
And it's not obnoxious like in Skyward Sword or anything.
No. I respect the game for that. So I don't know. That's it.
Last story.
Last story. There's not another one.
The Laster story.
The last.
At least until they make the last Archer.
Oh yeah. I'm so ready.
And on that note, we're gonna start wrapping up because it seems that we want to talk about everything but the last story now. So.
Yeah, we've gotten to that point.
Yeah, we're gonna do a second podcast that's nothing but fighting games and Archer and Japanese cultural body sensitivity.
No, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a fight of Davey and I arguing about Lost Odyssey. That will be the bonus content.
I thought. How about we do that and then we settle the grudge in Soul Calibur 4?
You still want to lose to me? Okay, no, that's fine.
Oh.
And on that
I
note,
think they can play fighting games.
does anybody have any kind of wrap-up thoughts? I think we've actually done a good job kind of summarizing it. But does anybody have anything else?
The only thing I like to just throw out there, I don't know if we mentioned it at all, is I really like that when you're walking around, the cast actually talks to each other.
Yeah, they do a lot of walk and talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Party banter.
But they don't make you
another Western RPG thing that is very welcome here.
They don't make you slow down. Like, you look at Batman that just came out. Every time they want to talk to Batman, he stops, puts his hands to his ear, and he walks slower than anybody else in the world. Again, it's all about pacing, so they have those little extra moments to make it more exciting. So any of those lulls is filled with something that's actually worthwhile, but they never slow you down to the point that you can't keep the experience going.
Oh, yeah.
So no, that's actually a really, really good point.
No, the last story, I think we're all really enjoying it because, like, not even as a qualitative thing, like, it's just a unique game. and
It's
just
so
fun
fresh.
To have a totally unique experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very different than any other game I've ever played.
I struggle to think of an RPG that is an obvious comparison.
Which is why we should also play Resonance of Fate.
And Gears of War.
If we do
Gears of
Resonance
War, that
Fate, I
classic
will play that.
360 RPG.
You
Tales
move,
of Gears of War.
you start with a hammer, and then you move up to the shaking of the gun, and you work on other guns, and then
There's
you
a
level up.
party of characters, and there's
Hey,
dialogue.
FF6 had a chainsaw.
Remember 61050.
Sabin is secretly Marcus Phoenix.
He just has to take his bandana off.
Yeah, Sabin.
That's what's hidden under there.
Blitz's locusts.
So, I think, Davey, you had a plug that you wanted to do before we do the full rigmarole to end it.
Yeah, so I have an old Facebook group called Game Club that wants to start doing retro encounter games. Back in the day, we ran through like Alundra and a couple other games on there.
And
it's
it
just
was basically like a let's play this game this month system similar to how Retro Encounter is, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's an open group. I'll moderate it, but if anyone wants to join, just come in and talk about the last story or whatever game we play in the future. Feel free. I'm going to invite everybody on right now, and hopefully we'll all be in the group by the end of the night.
We'll see.
We'll just reject that.
But yeah, on that note, like we've always mentioned at the end of every podcast, we really want to hear your thoughts. So join Davey's group, keep talking on the boards. We've kind of started to lull a little bit, and I think that's for a lot of reasons, but we're trying to get it reinvigorated. Send in your emails to retro@rpgfan.com. Again, we'd love to get some emails. We'll absolutely read them on the podcast. We'll try to respond without talking about everything else in the world that involves media that's not a video game or the last story, but we'll try. No promises.
At the same time, if you have any like ideas, complaints, suggestions for the show, write in. We're still taking game suggestions every other month. We do a fan requested game.
Yeah, which we've already mentioned this, but September will be a game from your guys' list that you guys have submitted. So yeah, keep up the dialogue, and we'll try to include you as much as we can. And then, as always, review on iTunes or any other your podcast listening venues. That's how it actually gets moved up, and it'll be seen by more people. At the end of the day, we just want to have as many people as possible enjoying all these great games.
Yeah.
So, well, that's going to do it for episode 401 of Retro Encounter. We look forward to talking to you guys some more soon as we progress through the last story.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Aw.
Ride this Garak kayak out of here.